Welcome to the Hello PEI podcast. As always, a big thanks to Mike Montague of Remax Charlottetown. Not only for being ahead of the curve on PEI real estate, but as his research for today's episode demonstrates, maybe at the forefront of what could be in the cards for Canada, given the way international interests are shaping up in response to U.S. policy instability. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're drilling down into something pretty fascinating. It's this almost silent industrial migration that's basically reshaping the entire economic map of North America.
It really is.
We're tracking how these huge global manufacturing giants, specifically the big Japanese automakers, are making these massive multi-billion-dollar decisions right now. And, well, they seem to be favoring Canada over the United States.
And what we see here is a very deep, very critical connection between that high-level international trade policy and, the future of our own regional economic development, especially here in the Maritime. Our sources lay out two core stories, two narratives that are completely linked, and we need to weave them together today. The first is this massive ongoing auto sector windfall, this huge industrial shift that's coming to Canada. And the second is the urgent need for a new, specialized high-tech university to actually capture that opportunity.
This is where the analysis gets so compelling. The U.S. government's recent policies, the tariffs, all the protectionist stuff, it was all intended to force manufacturing to come home.
Right, bring the jobs back.
But it's had this completely unintended consequence.
Yeah.
Instead of some made in America boom, what we're actually seeing is this structural retreat from uncertainty by the big global players.
That phrase is everything. Structural retreat from uncertainty. It's so key because it just cuts through all the political noise.
Yeah.
You have Japanese automakers who are known globally for being extremely cautious. They plan for the long term. They have immense patience. And they are actively redirecting long-term production and R&D investment away from the U.S. This isn't some symbolic gesture or complaint. This is purely mathematical. It's a recalculation of risk.
So when you say redirection, what does that actually look like? I mean, is there a concrete example that shows this isn't just a theory?
Oh, absolutely. The most powerful one the sources pointed to was Subaru. They confirmed that production of the Outback, a hugely popular model, is quietly moving back to Japan.
Wow.
It's bypassing the U.S. entirely, even though it used to be built in Indiana. Now, just think for a second about the costs and the sheer logistics of moving a whole production line for a mass-market vehicle like that.
It's enormous.
It's a clear signal. It says the U.S. regulatory environment is no longer a safe long-term bet. And we're seeing other signs, too. Shipments of Japanese-built cars into Canada, they're up year over year. At the same time, investments inside the U.S. are facing delays.
So it's not about the cost of labor or even factory capacity. It's about political risk over, the 20 or 30-year lifespan of a factory.
Precisely. The executives, they now see the U.S. as a volatile manufacturing environment. I mean, for an automaker, you're committing decades of output to one plant. The math is stark.
Yeah.
A single unexpected change out of Washington, a surprise tariff, a sudden shift in content rules, it can instantly change the total lifetime cost of a factory by hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds millions.
That volatility, that risk, it now dominates every single business calculation. It's more important than tax breaks or how close you are to a highway. When policy feels arbitrary, manufacturers run to places where stability is guaranteed.
So if these policies are just creating volatility instead of jobs, what's the ripple effect for the average person, for an American household? Is there some kind of hidden tax that we're paying?
Absolutely. There is. When a company has to absorb those tariff costs, they don't just vanish, they get passed on.
Right, to the consumer.
Sometimes right away, sometimes a little more slowly, but they're always there. Higher tariffs on imported steel, on semiconductors, certain batteries, brake systems. It introduces what the source calls a hidden tax on mobility.
A tax on mobility.
Yeah. It just raises the long-term cost of owning and maintaining a car for millions of families. You might buy an American-made car, but if the sensors or the wiring came from a tariffed country, that price is baked right in.
And it goes beyond just the price tag, right? This kind of financial uncertainty. It must force companies to cut back on things like R&D.
That's the innovation erosion. It's the other side of the coin. This pressure forces manufacturers to make really tough choices. They have to postpone huge investments in modern assembly lines. They slash research budgets. And this is maybe the most crucial part. They scale back their EV and battery development inside the U.S.
So we're falling behind.
It weakens the whole industrial ecosystem at the exact moment when global competitors who are in stable, predictable places like Asia and now increasingly Canada are hitting the accelerator. That's how you slowly lose influence. It's a quiet decline as companies just choose safer ground.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the next part of this.
Hmm.
So while the U.S. is sort of grappling with this self-inflicted uncertainty, Canada's on a completely different path. What's the magnetic pull northward?
Well, Canada is now positioned to be the main beneficiary of this whole realignment, and it's because it offers one critical asset: predictability, stability.
Right.
The source material calls stability the new currency of global competition, and, well, Canada has a lot of it right now.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What specific Canadian assets are the anchor here? What convinces a company to commit billions of dollars?
It really comes down to three things. First, you have stable legal frameworks and industrial roadmaps that tend to last, even when governments change. That gives you long-term certainty.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, you have access to critical minerals right here, the stuff you need for the next generation of EV batteries: nickel, cobalt, lithium. And Canada can source and supply it ethically.
And the third?
The third is maybe the most important: unimpeded, tariff-free access to major global markets.
So this is where the trade agreements come in.
Yeah.
The alphabet soup of global trade that keeps Canadian manufacturing safe.
That's exactly it. We're talking about CETA, the trade agreement with Europe, and access to the Asia-Pacific region through the CPTPP. These agreements give any manufacturer in Canada this stable corridor that links Asia, North America, and Europe. It's a huge advantage that the U.S., with its more unpredictable one-on-one trade deals, just can't offer right now.
So we're not just talking about using the factories Canada already has. We're seeing firms, Japanese and others, actually upgrading their entire tech footprint here, moving high-value work, next-gen EV stuff, into Canada. What does that kind of shift mean for the whole Canadian economy, and how does it trickle down to places like the Maritimes?
The impact is. It's leading to a rare kind of industrial comeback near the big manufacturing hubs. We're seeing local housing markets getting stronger, technical schools are expanding, local suppliers are getting multi-year orders.
And not just for car parts.
No, not at all. Think software, clean energy, material science. Canada is becoming a central hub for high-value EV component R&D. These are critical supply chains putting down permanent roots here.
When you talk about that scale, it sounds fantastic, but that kind of rapid growth always comes with intense pressure. You're talking about a sudden flood of R&D engineers, highly skilled technicians, management talent.
And that's the critical challenge. That's the thing Canada has to get right to turn this potential into a reality. This influx of high-value jobs and talent puts enormous pressure on local housing markets, on infrastructure. Canada has to prepare for this boom. And not just by paving roads. It's fundamentally about scaling up the housing supply and the workforce training pipelines. And this pressure isn't just going to be in Ontario. It's going to be felt across the country, including the Maritimes, as this industrial influence grows and talent starts moving to these stable centers of opportunity.
But there has to be a risk.
Yeah.
Right? We can't ignore the vulnerability that comes with becoming this stable alternative. If Canada's entire future is stake on these agreements, what's the cost of that dependence?
It's a calculated risk, for sure. Canada's reliance on these agreements means that if there were some future geopolitical collapse or a big renegotiation, it would expose our economy to the same kind of instability the U.S. is facing now.
And the internal risk.
The internal risk is about keeping up. Rapid growth demands rapid scaling. If Canada can't build housing fast enough, or expand transport, or train the workforce, if the infrastructure can't keep pace, then we risk losing the very stability advantage that attracted the investment in the first place. These companies will go elsewhere if there's a multi-year wait for talent or affordable homes for their engineers.
So if we connect all this, the investment coming north isn't for old-school assembly lines. It's fundamentally high-tech. EV battery chemistry, advanced materials, AI in vehicles, it's all software engineering, which raises this huge question. Can Canada right now actually supply the super specialized talent that this new industrial age needs?
The market urgency is profound. I mean, the simple truth is that innovation follows investment, and engineering talent follows innovation. So this shift we're tracking is creating an immediate, urgent demand for a very specialized workforce. Not just mechanics, but, hyper-specific EV systems engineers.
And the sources pointed out that once these talent clusters, these research hubs, set up shop in a stable place like Canada, they almost never leave.
Exactly. It's a point of no return. Advanced manufacturing thrives where the whole ecosystem is aligned. The training, the university partnerships, the industrial policy, it all has to work together. If Canada doesn't invest in the front end, in education and research, then the back end, the factories, the R&D labs, they'll just stall. Or they'll move to where the talent pipeline is already guaranteed.
Yeah.
Can't run a 21st century EV plant with a 20th century workforce.
This demand for specialized talent, then, combined with this massive auto sector windfall, it really does create a huge timely opportunity for the Maritimes and specifically for PEI to take a lead. Yeah. So how does a regional university initiative fit into this giant continental economic shift?
It's the difference between, say, waiting for the overflow to hopefully trickle down versus intentionally creating a magnet for that investment.
A magnet, I like that.
Yeah, a strategically positioned, tech-focused university one that is zeroed in on the core parts of the EV revolution, like advanced materials, software engineering, sustainable energy systems. It's no longer just a nice-to-have. It becomes essential economic infrastructure.
Okay, can you elaborate on that? Why would a university be seen as essential infrastructure, like a highway or power grid?
Because it serves as the guaranteed talent pipeline. It's a signal. It tells the global R&D chiefs that if they set up a lab in or near the Maritimes, the highly specialized people they need will be there, trained for exactly what next-gen manufacturing requires.
Right.
This kind of move proactively shows the commitment that's needed to capture the full economic boom. And, critically, it makes the case for Maritimes investment get heard loud and clear in Ottawa.
So it shifts the whole region's position. It's not just a potential recipient of overflow anymore. It becomes an intentional core part of this new industrial architecture. It gives the region real leverage.
It absolutely strengthens the region's geopolitical leverage. By creating this talent pipeline, the Maritimes get a direct lever to pull for federal investment, for R&D funding that they just wouldn't have access to otherwise. It's a self-reinforcing loop of growth if you do it right.
So what does this all mean when we tie these two huge stories together? We started with the U.S., prioritizing short-term toughness over long-term strategy and accidentally engineering its own industrial downsizing.
Right.
And Canada is winning, basically by being stable and predictable.
We must connect these two threads for you as the listener. The potential multi-billion-dollar shift of auto R&D and manufacturing to Canada will be fully realized and sustained only if the country, and by extension the Maritimes and PEI, can demonstrate a proactive, committed strategy to creating the specific, highly skilled workforce needed. Therefore, the establishment of a tech-focused university is not merely an academic endeavor, but an essential piece of economic infrastructure that dictates our ability to capture and sustain the coming economic boom while also managing the ensuing impact on our crucial housing market.
I think the most consequential question, the one that should keep policymakers up at night, is this. What happens if global manufacturers stop treating Canada as just a secondary stable partner and start treating it as the primary, safest gateway for all future industrial investment into North America?
Yeah.
If that shift becomes permanent, it would fundamentally and irreversibly redefine the entire balance of industrial power on this continent. A thank you again to Mike Montague of RE/MAX Charlottetown on closing.